It's summer, I got my hat on backwards, and it's time to fucking party.
Girl, you better stop messing with me. Tickling my belly, shoot. Tickling my belly button like that. It's gonna get some stuff started right now. I gotta do a show. Don't get over there. Looking all good. With your stuff hanging out. All right, shoot. I gotta do a show. Oh, shoot. Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome to Mostly Wrong Opinions, you guys. I'm Tyrone. That brother right there is Devin. Sorry, man. Sorry, I just came back from YTT.
Sorry,
How you
I'm
doing?
good. Putting on a little sunblock. It's all good.
I see it. What we got going on for you today is our Kobe Coin. If you don't know what Kobe Coin is, we have two movies and we flip forward right here on the Kobe Coin and let fate decide which one is going to be picked. We're doing this today for our 4th of July special. And as you can see, we just came out the sun. And what we're going to be flipping for is Tenet. That's going to be number 8. All right. And we're going to be flipping also for Black Klansman. All right. Two movies that starred John David Washington, the son of Denzel Washington. You know, great actor. So we're going to get into that right now. I got to take my sunglasses off.
Oh, yeah, let's do it, man.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. All right, what we're about to watch right now, coming up on the show, fate had decided is Tenet.
Nice. Or actually, I should say, boom.
All I have for you is a word. Tenet. It'll open the right doors, some of the wrong ones too. Use it carefully.
This movie is a mind explosion. Okay?
No. It's a mind inversion.
Yeah, it's a mind inversion. Think things and rewind, and in the future, apparently. This stars John David Washington, as we all know, that is the son of, the famous Denzel Washington.
Denzel.
They tried to make me late!
Him and also Robert Pattinson. The new Batman. This film, to me, is directed and written by Christopher Nolan and produced by Christopher Nolan. And we all know that Christopher Nolan has this look with his films. He has this sound quality to his films. To me, my favorite Christopher Nolan film is The Dark Knight. We went to go see that together. And
We did.
we was in awe. How wide angles it was, the freaking IMAX that he did on it. It was just awesome, you know? And
I'll be blunt, though. That's not why I like that movie. All that stuff is nice, you know? That's like, you know, with the bells and whistles. I like that movie because I like Dark Knight because of the clarity of the story. And that is something that is not present in Tenet.
Okay.
So this is what you get when you get a movie that looks awesome, right? It looks so cool, but makes it, at least at first viewing, it seems to make no sense at all. And it does not carry you through the film, in my opinion, just on looks alone.
So to my knowledge, that these characters, John David Washington, I've only seen this movie once, people, and it inverted my brain. And John David Washington is a CIA agent, and this movie starts off I'm not gonna go through the beats of this movie and what like I normally do here because it's so much. But Devin's gonna really take the reins on this. But it starts off where it's like like an orchestra that's happening, the opera and things, and they're trying to get this dude out of here, and he's like fake being a part of this task crew because he's an agent that's under disguise. And it's a lot of action. There's a lot of awesome music. The music is in there.
Oh yeah, the music is great. And what's notable about the music is this is the only film by Christopher Nolan, at least from the last since Memento at least, that did not use Hans Zimmerman as to score the film. They used Ludwig, whose name I can't pronounce his last name. He's the guy who did the music for Black Panther. So he's hot off his Oscar for this one, and the music is awesome. He also did the theme song for Mandalorian, so he's a killer. Yeah, the music is amazing. Man, it's a standout.
Futuristic Western, he nailed it with that. With this, great time too. Yeah. Now the volume of the music over the dialogue is a issue for me, and it was an issue with a lot of people because paying attention to this movie, people, is very important if you're going to watch this. Because the beat patterns and the way they say their dialogue, everyone in this movie is like a professional already at whatever that they do because of how they're speaking. There's no pause. There's no there's no maybe. There's none of that going on.
Right. No one in the film seems fazed by all the crazy things that are going on. They just see it and they just accept it and they move on, and that is weird because as a viewer, you're watching it and you're like, what in the heck is happening? It's hard to keep up with what's going on in the film. But again, like you said, there's no one's phased, so people don't ask the questions that you would like them to ask.
It's so fast paced, people, and I was just very, very, very taken back with it when it comes to how fast paced that it is, and how I could not keep up with the story. You would think there were certain Christopher Nolan films like Inception that you have to really dig in with Inception, but you understood with Inception, okay? Dreams.
You know what? I disagree with that. Inception was the film where I realized Christopher Nolan has a problem, and this problem is one of Christopher Nolan's favorite things to do. He likes to misdirect, which is cool, right? That's always a fun thing to do. But he will leave you in the dark for a long, long time. And I noticed that in Inception, because around Inception, people were like, "Oh, you just weren't smart enough to understand it." And at the time, I was like, "Well, dang, maybe I wasn't, because I was confused." After rewatching Inception, same thing with Tenet. There is no way you can watch Inception without, at least not the first time, without being confused. Because there's information that you need that you don't get until way later. So you're just like, what's happening? What is that? And that same thing happens here in Tenet. Now, in this movie, in Tenet, you get most of your answers about halfway through. So the second half of the film is when you get a lot of the answers. And this movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes. That means you're in the dark for almost an hour and a half, and he makes virtually no effort at all to clarify much of anything. You're just in the dark, and this is not. We spoke about this just personally over the phone. This is not your fault that you're confused. This is Christopher Nolan withholding information, right? It's not that you're not paying attention. It's not that you're not getting information. He's not giving information. Right? He leaves you in the dark, and he wants you to ask questions, and he does that for a long, long time. And for some reason, I don't know. I think people seem to think that makes the movie intellectual somehow because you've got to think about it. It does not. It just makes it a movie with holes that don't get filled until much later in the runtime.
What my understanding with the whole thing when we were talking about at the beginning of this, with inversion, objects are moving in reverse. As in, you didn't drop or fire the bullet; it's pulling towards you.
Right, you caught the bullet with the gun.
But he caught a bullet, okay? And
right.
I just don't understand it still, because it's the way they make it seem when it comes to like I said with inversion, catching a bullet, you didn't shoot the bullet. When you were like, it makes it seem like these people have powers or something. Like the power is time that everyone has, and they go through this machine, and the machine is a time machine. What?
Okay, so in order to explain this movie, you got to start at the end, right? Which is weird. So we're gonna go straight to spoilers here. If you haven't seen the movie, f you, you're gonna have the movie spoiled.
More clear, Devin is gonna go to the spoilers. Okay.
Ultimately, the movie is about, at some point in the future, it's not really told when. It seems like 100 years, maybe even later into the future. The power to invert time, to reverse time, becomes a thing. And there are some people in the future that want to use this power to essentially destroy the world. And they have sent back some pieces of this time travel, or this like time inversion technology, to the past. And they've sent it back specifically to one guy, this arms dealer named Sator. And he has using their stuff, he's built these things that are called turnstiles. You walk in one direction and you're going forward, you come out the other way, you're going backward. Right? So how this works doesn't matter. They don't bother explaining it. Whether or not you need that explained, I honestly can't tell you, because the movie doesn't seem to care. So it's like, okay, fine. So ultimately, there is a war in the future between these bad guys that are unnamed, that seem to want to destroy the world, and another group called Tenet that's trying to stop them from destroying the world. Now, in that opera scene, right, that you're talking about, John David Washington comes across some inverted bullets, right? Someone gets shot, but the bullet sucks back into the gun, and he's like, what the heck is that, you know? Now, some of this stuff are artifacts that were sent back, but we later learned that guy was actually, I don't know if you caught it, that guy who had the inverted bullet, that was Robert Pattinson. He'd gone back in time at the end of the film.
Right.
Right, but see, now none of this you're told until maybe the last 30 minutes of the film. So there's about 2 hours of you being like, huh? What? There's a machine that can reverse time? Wait, now this guy's going forward and this one's going backward? And on and on and on. But yeah, it seems like there's an organization that wants to destroy the world. It's insinuated they want to reverse what's called the entropy of the world. Yeah, exactly. What does that mean, right? Why did he use this language? What he means is reverse like the physics of the world in order to. It's insinuated that it's to reverse climate change, but that probably won't work. It'll probably just destroy the world. So Tenet wants to stop them from reversing the entropy of the world, and that's ultimately the whole point of this film. And John David Washington. He is recruited into Tenet in the beginning, but we also learned that he started Tenet at some point in the future. So that's kind of a mind F, where you're like, wait, he was recruited in it, but he started it? That's because it's this time travel thing.
It's so weird. And the thing is, Sator has a chip on his shoulder. And he see, he wants to destroy the world because, I don't know, it's something dealing with his wife. And he said, if nobody can have her, if I can't have her, nobody can have her. And he wants to control her. And when he means by that, nobody can have her, he's like, I'm going to blow up everybody. So,
well, Sator he's got terminal cancer. He's going to die anyway. So he don't care if the world's going to blow up. He ain't going to make it, right? He doesn't care. And his life is an absolute wreck. He's really upset at his wife. He's unhappy that he's got a kid. He's just not a happy guy, right? And so he plans to kill himself, and he set things up.
Laughing at it now.
Yeah, it's so complicated to explain. In order to start the end of the world, he's got to collect these 9 pieces of an algorithm. He's done it, right? At the beginning of the film, he's done it. It's like Thanos has already got.
There's only
all
one
the-
piece that he needed left, and basically John David gave it to him without even knowing
Exactly.
that he gave it to him.
Without knowing. Yep. So he's got it. Now all he has to do is tell the organization from the future that he's got it and where he's hiding it so that they can get it and destroy the world, right? That's all he's got to do. And so he set it up so that when he kills himself, because he wants to ingest this like pill that'll kill himself, cyanide pill. When he dies, an email will go out to the future, which will let them know where the location of this algorithm is, and the world will blow up, right? So that's like his whole thing. Now he's upset at his wife. All this is so complicated, yo. He's upset at his wife because his wife is an art dealer, and his wife accidentally bought a fake painting on his behalf. Now he's pissed about that, and they seem to have a pretty rocky relationship anyway. And so he's blackmailing her. He's like, look, I know our relationship's bad, but you're going to stay with me because I'm going to keep your secret of accidentally buying this fake art. I'm going to keep that a secret. But which will protect her career. I'm only going to keep this a secret as long as you stay here with me. So the princess is essentially locked in a castle. She's stuck. She can't move. She's upset. So John David Washington wants to get close to Sator, right? And so he's like, I'm going to use the wife. I'm going to get to the wife to get to Sator. The wife is like, great, you can do that, but he hates me. And he's got this cloud over me. I need you to destroy this painting, this fake painting. That way he doesn't have the blackmail over me. So there's that whole scene with John David Washington and Robert Pattinson trying to get this piece of art and destroy it. They don't. They mess up. There are people going backwards the whole time, and you're like, "What? They're going forward. Guys are going backwards." The movie is a bit of a mess, at least from a story standpoint. Everything I said, most of that happens like in the first 2 scenes, and it's not that interesting. Thank God for the score, because I feel like the score keeps me going.
The score pushed this thing along for sure. Because and now that we think about it, with the whole thing about the score being all over the film, even while they're talking, it had to be. It had to be.
Why is that?
Because if it wasn't there, I still wouldn't be able to get the story beats from the dialogue, because there's no breath within it.
Right. So there's another criticism of this film that Tyrone's talking about, and it's that it's almost impossible to hear a lot of this dialogue. This is a super, super exposition-heavy film, and the score, it's awesome, but that's all you can really hear while people are speaking. So, like, there's that scene when they're going into the art place, and this guy is, like, showing Robert Pattinson around, and he's speaking, but his voice is being drowned out by the score. He's like, oh, we've got the greatest security in the world, and blah, blah, blah. But then the score is like...
The structure of the vaults is based on the pendulum. Each vault a separate structure within the others. Damage to one structure won't compromise the others.
Exactly.
What? You gotta do what with what? And there's a painting.
Exactly.
Did someone draw it with crayon? I don't know.
Yep. You're like, what? Huh? He's like, there's a 10-second switch and this, that, and the other. You're like, wait, a 10-second switch? And wait, they suck out all the air out of the room? And what? It's bizarre and strange, and I think this is a big problem. Now, Christopher Nolan, he addressed this problem for the first time, because this is a long-running issue with Christopher Nolan, with his movies being inaudible. People can't hear it. Because apparently, for Interstellar, he got complaints about the sound mix of his movie, not from schmoes like me and you, but from fellow filmmakers. Other directors were like, I couldn't understand a word in Interstellar. I couldn't understand it. So he gave a interview for some guy that was writing a book on him, and he explains that he does this mix on purpose. He says he makes the sound mix, bizarre and strange and loud on purpose because he wants to tell the story in a way that's not just dialogue heavy, which is admirable, but that's not what happens, right? Because his movies are dialogue heavy. Like, he needs to rewrite his movies or something because he's got a lot of dialogue.
We're working our way back to the full teams, but without knowing where the dead drop is, there's only so much I can do to prepare.
The only film that probably worked on was Dunkirk, which that had almost no dialogue.
Because everything about that involves visuals and sound.
Exactly. So he had that one had almost no dialogue at all. So because the music was loud and the gunshots were loud, it didn't matter because no one was saying anything. This film, everyone's talking and they're talking fast, and you got to hear it. At least it feels like you got to hear it, and you can't.
Let me tell you, Devin, when we decided to do this movie with the Kobe coin, we didn't decide to do it. The Fate did.
Right.
When Fate gave us,
but we did decide to put it on.
Yeah, we decided to put it on the coin, but Fate decided it for us.
Right.
Devin's, he said you're gonna have to turn on the closed caption for this one. Okay. Yeah. Put some headphones on. I was like, oh, okay, so don't watch this in the living room with my sound, my surround sound, and the boom boom bang bam. Go put the headphones on because I have to concentrate, and I barely concentrated through this movie.
And that's not your fault. Watching a movie should not feel like work. It shouldn't feel like homework. It should feel like entertainment. You should want to concentrate, not have to concentrate. And that's a problem. Now, also with the sound mix, though, and this is something I just learned this week, that apparently movies are remixed. Like, the sound is remixed for home release. So if you saw this movie in the theater, apparently the sound mix was even worse. And they remixed it again for home release, so it's a little better. So you got the better version of the sound, and you still couldn't hear anything. So that's a big problem.
And the thing with this movie, I have nothing against the actors that's in this movie. The actors in this movie, they did their part. Each of them did. I'm not even like upset with the fight choreography or anything with that going on. It's just the direction that Christopher Nolan decided to take with the screenplay of this and the sound of this is just I can't.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. Now, upon second viewing, I got a better appreciation for Robert Pattinson's performance. Because Robert Pattinson, he is also part of Tenet, and he has gone on adventures with John David Washington before the film. So this is a future version of John David Washington, who went to the past and went on adventures with Robert Pattinson. That's why Robert Pattinson knew so much about time inversion already. That's why he knew John David Washington's drink of choice.
Coke tonic and a Diet Coke. What?
Because they're old buddies. Now, I didn't pick up on that until the end of my first watching, but after rewatching the second one, you can see he actually does give a really good performance because he's like in awe of seeing his old friend again, and you're like, oh, I see, I get it. But upon first viewing, nope, I don't get any of that. And I think that's a big problem. I don't think if I'm rewatching your film, I should be rewatching it because I loved it, not because I didn't understand it.
That you have to catch things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
exactly.
There's a point in the film at the end of this where they're trying to stop the apocalypse or Armageddon from happening, where they're in this like missile silo, and there's a body that's in front of this gate, and he's trying to turn the body over, and dude, Kick-Ass, he's in there with him in this movie. And what's his name, Evan something, but he's trying to move it, and he turns the body over, and he sees this little trinket that's on the back of it. He noticed what that trinket is because he's seen it before, and then by the end, like the end shot, well, not the end shot, but the end shot on that scene when everyone's getting on the helicopters and stuff. Robert Pattinson's character turns around and he sees that same locket on the back of his, trinket on the back of there. So he sacrificed himself.
Robert Pattinson's character is a little bit like Kang the Conqueror, since we're talking about Loki, in that he's everywhere. There seems to be multiples of him because he's been time traveling for some time. So he is the guy who saves John David Washington over and over and over again. Like, there's always some kind of mysterious dude, and every time it appears to be Robert Pattinson. So another big thing in this film is the whole movie moves forward until about halfway through, and then the movie reverses. And we go through all the same scenes again, but in reverse.
Yep.
Which is clever, and it's super cute. But from a story standpoint, the execution, I think, is poor. But from a technical standpoint, it looks great. It looks really cool.
Exactly. Like that whole scene where they were trying to blow up the art and destroy the art, where he was fighting himself. John David Washington was basically fighting himself without even knowing he was fighting himself until he was in the past from the future.
Yes. when he was in the past from the future, looking back at the fight, he realized that was him. He was fighting himself.
Yes.
And what's interesting is the fight is recontextualized, right? So the first time we see it, he's fighting this scary, mysterious guy moving backwards. Yeah. And the second time, it's from
the point of view
his future self.
Yeah, where we see like, oh, okay.
And you're like, and you're kind of like, oh, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. And there's a scene where, because in the beginning, where his future self is like firing at his face almost, like boom, 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 and you're like, wow, this guy's really trying to kill John David Washington. But then when we see it in reverse, we realize that he's trying to empty the gun so that he doesn't kill himself.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's clever. Okay. The whole thing is like recontextualized. Clever stuff. This is what Christopher Nolan's known for. And if you just take that scene and just look at it, fun. But you can't, because there's
no information 2 hour 30 minute explain that.
Exactly. There's a 2 hour 30-minute film around that scene, and it's very hard to pick up that kind of information. It's certainly not on first viewing. Again, I've had the pleasure of seeing this movie twice, so I feel like I understand it a little bit better, but it's a complex, weird,
and that's what
confusing movie.
And that's what Christopher Nolan wants you to do. He wants you to get his confusing mess. And with this film at least. So I'm just gonna tell you this, people. See the movie if you can on HBO Max. You know, come up with your mostly wrong opinion about it, and your synopsis on what you think this is about, because it's a mind f. It's a big mind f, and I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating on this because it's burrowing into my brain right now. This movie, with all the dialogue issues, how the story doesn't connect until an hour and a half into the movie, I'm going to give this movie a 6 solely because of I like the action that's in it, of course, and the cleverness of it. You know, it's very clever, but it wasn't executed properly for me to get my full enjoyment. So it's a 6 for me.
I agree. It is very clever, but it's not as clever as Christopher Nolan seems to think it is. And it's not as clever as Christopher Nolan's, I call them Nolanites, people who just they just love Christopher Nolan. Yeah. They think he can do no wrong. Christopher Nolan, just like Zack Snyder, is a man. He's just a guy. And people, they make mistakes all the time. He's not some kind of god. He's just a dude. And this movie, I think, was a big misstep. Also, I feel like a lot of his movies look the same. They even kind of sound the same. It's like a lot of guys in expensive suits standing around in front of various variations of brown and gray walls. It's very sterile. So You gave this movie a 6. I'm giving it a 4 because
True.
I after rewatching it, I enjoyed the movie a lot more the second time I watched it. I enjoyed it quite a bit more, but I don't think that should be necessary to enjoy your film. I should be able to enjoy it the first time, and if I want to rewatch it because I liked it so much, then I'll rewatch it then. But I don't like movies forcing me to rewatch it because it didn't make any sense the first time. He did not explain what was going on in this film very well. Like you said, the sound was a mess. The acting's pretty good, and it looks okay. But ultimately, I can't recommend this movie because I think it's boring. I think it'll be boring for most people. I'm sitting here staring at the movie really hard.
Yeah.
I'm working to see this film. And when you do that, you can see all kind of cool symbolism going on. Like there's this thing with like trains, right? When in the beginning, when Robert Pattinson's character, I think he dies, I don't know. in the beginning, when Robert Pattinson's character dies and Washington, his character becomes a member of Tenet, there are 2 trains passing, one going forward, one going backward. I'm like, okay, that's the symbolic of the time. I'm like, okay, I see that kind of stuff. I get it. But none of that stuff will carry you through the film. So I give it a 4.
Well, I gave it a 6. Devin gave it a 4. See it at your own discretion. Take it with a grain of salt. That is our review for Tenet.
Well, how big a plane? That part is a little dramatic.
All right, everyone. The movie that is up next is F9, starring family, everyone. Vin Diesel, little Bow Wow. You just don't know.
Which I didn't know he was in this film, by the way. But anyway.
Exactly.
Little Brian, I have a gift for you. Your daddy gave me this. No, I'm gonna give it to you. It's very special. It's for protection from what's coming.
So, Fast 9, or F9, is the sequel to The Fate of the Furious. It stars everyone that's been in these films from the beginning, majority.
It's called F9, if you don't know, because it's the 9th Fast and Furious film.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a running gag with this film that it just keeps getting more bigger and more, outlandish, and like these people they do like tremendous things that they just left away from street racing, and now they're just into this espionage thing. And when I did my review for The Fast and the Furious, Honest Trailers, I said the same thing. That I said, I don't know if me and Devin was going to review this, but we ended up reviewing it. And when I said there, I was like, yeah, back in the day, they were just stealing DVDs, which is probably worth $5 now. DVD players. Now they have to stop a world-ending, just like with Tenet, a world-ending device. For what reason? I don't know, because the story was not clear.
But see, I think the escalation of the Fast and Furious franchise from street racing to international espionage, I don't think it's necessary. I think it makes some sort of internal sense to me. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So these guys were petty criminals, and their petty criminals or criminality has just escalated more and more and more, and they've become more and more successful criminals. Makes sense that at some point you get to like international espionage. I don't know. It makes internal sense for this film. Now, to be clear, I've got an interesting perspective on this film because I'm not a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. I really didn't watch them. I kind of tuned out after the third one. And so when you suggested this movie, I was like, well, I'll just take this opportunity to watch them. I watched them all. Back to 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 back. It was a lot. So I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on the Fast and Furious franchise now, and F9 was a pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good entrance into the Fast and Furious franchise. It all flows pretty well. It makes its own internal logic.
It flows pretty well, but I saw this article today. I didn't read the article. I just read the headline. The headline read, Fast and Furious franchise has a problem. A Dom problem. As you know, Vin Diesel plays Dominic Toretto. And I'm not sure what that article meant or what it was diving into. But if I can just, spitball here what that title meant. Every movie is always revolving around him and an issue. Okay? It's not like it's an issue that's with Ludacris' character or with Tyrese's character. Because they're all just supporting characters around his little world. And this time when it comes to John Cena being his brother and he thinks that his brother killed his father. And it's just, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys when it comes to why and all that happens. It's just donkulous, man. Not ridiculous, donkulous. But here's the thing. There's flashbacks that happen throughout this movie where you see two younger versions of Dominic Toretto and Jacob Toretto. Dominic Toretto's younger version is actually Vin Diesel's son.
No, okay. I guess that's why he looks and sounds so much like him.
Yeah.
After watching all the Fast and Furious films, I noticed a trend that each film seems to retcon the last film. Like they seem to recontextualize some moment or something in the films over and over and over and over again. Right? This is like, for example, his little necklace thing that he always has. He kept trying to pass this on to Letty. And you're like, why does he keep passing this cheap necklace on and on and on? Well, we learned that this is essentially symbolic of their wedding ring. And you're like, oh, okay. But now it seems to be recontextualized again, that it seems to be something that all the Toretto boys have. Because his brother has one too.
His father had it.
His father had it. His brother had it. So I guess it's some kind of like family thing. But only the boys get it because Mia doesn't have it. And she's a Toretto. But whatever. I don't know why she didn't get one. But,
only bling bling for the dudes, alright?
Yeah, right.
Mamacita's not.
and after watching the franchise, correct me if I'm wrong, but he only talked about his father one time in all the films, and it was Paul Walker asked Dom if he remembered his father, because Paul Walker just realized that Mia was pregnant. He was going to be a father. And Dom was like, he didn't say, yeah, my father was a race car driver and my brother. He didn't say any of that stuff.
No.
What he said was his father was the barbecue man. His father made barbecue for everyone in the neighborhood and gave them barbecue after they went to church. And I'm like, okay. I feel like he would have mentioned that his father was a race car driver.
And then he died. And, it's...
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't contradict.
It's not that it's contradicting. It doesn't contradict it, man. It just makes the other screenplays and the other stories sloppy, written sloppily, because it's like it's catching up. It's catching up to it. Like I know, of course, people you see in the trailer that Han is back, and they had to retcon and stitch that thing together.
Right.
To where
and he's not even the first character to come back from the dead in the Fast and Furious franchise.
I'm actually, I wouldn't be surprised they bring back Gal Gadot's character in the next film.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
That she actually had a shoot.
I feel like they kind of insinuated that she could be alive, because Gal Gadot, who was Han's girlfriend, she was going to be a fiance, but she died before he could formally propose.
Off screen.
She died on screen.
Well, she faded into black. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she fell off a plane, and so yeah, I guess they didn't show her body splattering against the ground.
Well,
but
yeah, keep that. Keep that. What you just said. Because I'm gonna come and just smash that. Keep that. Go ahead.
Okay. So they didn't show her body smashing against the ground.
Uh-huh.
But another character also fell from that same plane in that same scene, and he's okay. So, and that's Shaw's brother. He fell from that same plane in that same scene on the same runway, just minutes after she fell.
Yep.
So presumably she could be alive because we've seen humans survive that fall. So I'm like, okay, she could be alive. And Mr. Nobody, he insinuates that he has hidden people before. When this is a small spoiler, I guess, but it's in the trailer a little bit. When Han's death is being covered up by Mr. Nobody, Han's like, wow, great magic trick. And Mr. Nobody's like, I've done better. He's like, I've done better. And I'm like, oh, who has he done better?
Exactly.
So I think wouldn't surprise me if Gal Gadot shows up again.
And then he says that the hard part is about keeping you dead. So
right.
But the thing is, it's like, yeah, she fell off the the back of the plane and stuff like that. But there's a character in this film that we all know that explains we must be superheroes. That every person that gets dubbed family by Vin Diesel's character, they're superheroes, because there's no way that a man that's in the jungle get left behind. Sorry, I'm doing a little spoiler right now. That this character gets left behind by family, and he's surrounded by these military people, like 15 of them, and there's only one gun, and there's like probably 30 rounds in there, and he takes them all out without even having to scratch, and there's a bullet hole that's in the actual past the bulletproof vest that's on the sleeve, and that's it. And yeah, so it's very possible that Gal Gadot definitely survives that, along with Mr. Nobody said.
Well, I think that character was just
pointing out the
terms.
obvious.
Yes, in literary terms, that's called hanging the lantern, right? When there's a big problem or there's a big issue, and as a writer that your readers are like, "What the heck is that?" And so when you have a character say, "What the heck is that?" That's called hanging the lantern, right? So this character is like, "How are we surviving? How is this possible? Why are we still alive?" And it's played up for laughs, and everyone dismisses them. But I think that was just them hanging the lantern, and they were just like, "Don't think about it. Don't worry about it." And so this character stumbles through the film, surviving all kinds of ridiculous things, like the coyote and Roadrunner or something, and he just kind of laughs it off and stumbles away. His jacket's on fire or something, and just gets in the car and drives off. So
Let's get to
that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. To be blunt, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me, because with the tone of the film, the tone of the film isn't like Tenet, right? Right. The tone of the film is heightened reality. So that to me is fine that they can survive. No one watches. Speaking of the Roadrunner and Coyote, no one watches that film and is like, "How is the coyote alive?" No, because you understand that the tone of the film says Coyote can survive this.
Isn't that turning your brain off and not understanding what
It's not.
Okay.
It's not, because I understand the tone of the film. Okay. This film does not ever abandon this tone. It's always crazy. It's always wacky. And even a character even points at it. Like you said, he even looks he pretty much looks in the camera and points at it, right? So it's like it's not, that's fine. I'm like, that's the tone of the film. It's kind of like James Bond or something, right? How does James Bond survive these things? Who cares? The tone of the film isn't James Bond gets a laser in between his legs and his balls get cut off. That's not what happens. We all know he's going to escape. It's just how he escapes. That's what you want to know. How. It's not that he escapes. It's how. In this film, it's all about how they escape. It doesn't matter that they escape. How.
That's a good comparison. Good save on that. Good. But let's talk about a little bit of the character of Jacob Toretto here. The older version of him is like 2 foot shorter than Tom, and he had a growth spurt, and he has all these ripped muscles and stuff like that. I'm like, dang, Vin Diesel, what you been doing for the past 20 years? You know what I'm saying? Your little brother done came up.
That's funny. But within the story, they make that make sense though, because his little brother was always in Dom's shadow, so he's overcompensating. That's why he's all big and ripped like that.
Yeah. did I appreciate John Cena being in this movie? I don't know, appreciate's a word, really. It's am I okay with it? Yeah. Could have been somebody else? Most definitely. But
I had no problems with John Cena in the film. Like, he didn't do anything. I had no problems. He didn't do anything bad. He didn't do anything bad. He didn't do anything great. I thought he was fine. I did like, though, that they took the opportunity to say the thing that I was thinking for 8 films, and the character pretty much said it. What ethnicity is Dom supposed to be?
Yeah, because they said they looked at Jacob and they said he's like East Norwegian or something like that.
Yeah,
and a little bit different than Dom's.
You're right. And one of the characters she shrugs it. She's like, "Well, I know you Torettos are all mixed up." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I guess they just mix with a little bit of everything, because in the first Fast and Furious films, Dom Toretto is coded as Latino, and so I'm like, okay, I guess he's a Latino man. I believe Vin Diesel Vin Diesel's black, right? He's just black and white.
Yeah, he's
mixed,
like
right?
black.
Yeah, so he's just black, but his character is coded as Latino, which is a little problematic. And I think as time has gone on, they had to address that. It's like, yeah, this guy's not actually Latino. And even in the last film, Fate of the Furious, I think it's the last one. I watched them all back to back.
Yeah.
He went to Cuba, and he's got a cousin in Cuba.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, is he Cuban? And so I guess no. He's whatever they want him to be. Because, like you said, Vin Diesel, I don't know if you know this, guys, but Vin Diesel and John Cena, they don't look anything alike at all. John Cena's got like blue eyes,
strong
and like
jawline.
Yeah, like sandy hair. Yeah, exactly. Good hair. Vin Diesel is bald, and he does not look like John Cena. So they just kind of hand wave it. They're like, they're all mixed up. And even I feel like Mia, I can't even tell what race Mia is supposed to be.
Like,
but this is
like
the first film to
actually
actually address it. Yeah, they all look different. But this is the first film that I can remember where they actually addressed that. Yeah, the Torettos they're all like different races. So I'm like, all right, I guess they're just mixed up family. Fine. Interesting that they said it though, that they actually said that.
This film opened to the biggest opening weekend since 2019, of course, because there was no big films from 2020, in the theaters because the theaters were closed. And out of the films that opened this year, with what is that? A Quiet Place 2. And the other movie that came out, can't remember what, but it beat it. Beat it worldwide, and it's kind of expected. People are going to go out to this movie and have a good time with popcorn and, see all the action-packed stuff.
Yeah, I think this movie made $70,000 domestically, which is actually not a lot of money at all, especially considering the budget of this film. But like you said, compared to everything that's come out in 2020 and 2021 so far, that is the
70 million.
Highest.
70 million.
70 million, yeah. That is the highest opening. But that's not a lot of money because this movie looks expensive. I don't know how much this movie cost, but it costs a whole lot more than 70 million. I'd say that. So.
Yeah. Normally these movies for the opening weekend is touching at least 180, close to 200.
Yeah. If a movie like, again, I don't know what the budget is, but if a movie like this opened to 100 million in 2019, this would be like a huge bomb. But for 2021, hey, that's great, and I think that's good. That's good to see because I saw this in the theater, and so did you. So,
yep.
Also, I know I'm running my mouth a lot, but I saw all the Fast and Furious movies at home alone with headphones on, so I didn't have an audience. And watching this movie with an audience was interesting because I got a lot of laughs in my theater. And not just at the jokes, because there are jokes, but just at things that are happening in the film. I got a lot more laughs than I was expecting. I'm like, oh, okay, they are really like thrown by the silliness of this franchise. I was like, huh, that's interesting.
There's a part in this film, I am not going to spoil it for you, let's just say it's all around the internet that it's been that since Paul Walker's character, God rest his soul, since they jumped from those two buildings to Dubai in Dubai, that everyone's like, oh, okay, that's disbelief right there, disbelief and no physics. Okay, there's something that happens in this film where that wouldn't happen in real life. Did they be dead? Like really dead? Like
maybe we should just go ahead and get into the spoilers so you can talk about that in detail.
Okay, spoilers right now, people. If you don't want to get to the spoilers, just come back to the end when we give our rating. But spoilers right now. They have to get to the satellite to turn off this this piece that connects these two pieces together, so they won't get to the end of the world or something like that.
To be clear, this is a satellite
in space. Okay, the running joke
in orbit.
Man, they're gonna have like Fast and Furious on the moon, damn near, because this is where Bow Wow's character and the dude from Tokyo Drift, country dude, they come in and they built like these rockets over in Germany strapped to these cars, and you seen it in the trailer. It's like a Pontiac Fiat thing, and that's where Ludacris was like, no, that is not cool. That's horrible. They actually strapped them in there, the two brothers in the film, and tell them to go up there and turn off that satellite. So when Jacob gets both of these things, because he's trying to, sell this to the highest bidder or blow the world or whatever, he can't do it. So they get up there, and throughout the process, Ludacris keeps saying, trust the physics, trust the physics, trust the physics. And numbers don't lie. And they get up there, and the thing doesn't work to turn it off because they overheated the magnets on this thing to be able to short circuit the satellite. And guess what they do, people? They run the car through the satellite. They be dead. And they come out on the other side like, oh man, we survived that. What?
So that I had problems with that scene, but not just because they'd be dead, because they should have died from a million things prior to that, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, the tone of the film is that, they survive the unsurvivable. My problem is when they crash that car into the satellite, the effect was it exploded. It wasn't, the car didn't just go boom. No, the whole thing went boom, like it exploded. Like the effect was, I feel like that was the wrong effect. It looked like the car blew up. So I thought they were dead. Yeah. And my whole audience, they gasped. They were like, because, obviously Ludacris and Tyrese are main cast members, are main characters in this film. And so my whole audience thought they were dead. I thought they were dead too. I was like, wow, that was bold. But the movie didn't let you go more than 5 minutes with thinking they're dead, because it immediately cuts back to them and they're like, we're live. And then it cuts back to some other stuff down below. And I felt like that was like a reshoot. I felt like they probably looked at that and they're like, oh, they look dead. We should probably just tack something in here to make it clear that they're not dead. Because the movie just cuts back and they're like, we're alive, guys, don't worry. And it goes. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I think the effect might have been a little bit wrong, because it looked like they blew up.
Yeah, in my theater, they were laughing at that part and other things like that too, where it's supposed to be a sad moment, but people are laughing. So,
yep, they laughed. My audience laughed. Can I talk about Tyrese and Ludacris for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, in I think it was 6 or 7, I can't remember which one it is, when the Ramsey character comes around, both Tyrese and Ludacris are like, they like really like her because she's, the actress is really pretty, and they're like, wow, and they're like trying to like compete for Ramsey's attention. I think this is in Fate and Furious. They're like trying to compete for her attention, and in the end of that film, she doesn't seem to pick either one of them. And at the end of this film, that pops up again, where they're both like, oh yeah, I know you're the tech guy, so the tech guy and the other girl, they should get together, but I'm like, I'm the eye candy or something like that, right? I have a hot take on this.
What's hot take?
I think So this is I know they'll never do this, but I don't think either of those characters belong with Ramsey. Both of those characters, to me, feel like they're in a relationship with each other. And it makes, to me, that relationship makes way more sense than either of them being with Ramsey.
Because they're just banter with each other and everything.
Yeah, they're always gonna. It's after watching them all.
It's like a married couple.
Like this.
It's like a married couple.
Yes, it's a little flirtatious. So I'm like, are they? And so I'm like, will the movie ever go? Will this series ever go there, or will they just like insinuate it? Because in this film, like you said, that scene where they crash the satellite, they decided to do the most intimate thing that two people can do together. They thought they were going to die, and they acknowledged it, and they thought they were going to die together. And so I'm like, are they? If this film puts these two characters together over and over and over and over and over again, I think they probably just like Tyrese and Ludacris's like vibe together. But like, I do too. So I'm like, I don't want to see either one of them with Ramsey. I think I'd rather see them together. It makes more sense. It makes more sense. I know they'll never go there. I know they'll never do it. But to me, it makes a lot of sense.
Man.
Especially with like 4 movies of them together with this kind of banter. I don't know. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Maybe, man. Maybe. With this franchise, this franchise is supposed to extend to 11 entries. And it makes you think, what else can they do? What else do they have up their sleeve? I know we all said that they're going to go to space, and with that spoiler, people, they went to space. But how deep in space? Could they go to the moon? Fast and Furious on the moon. Fast and Furious on Mars. You know, who does Dom got a cousin that don't like him? What is going on? You know.
Well, this franchise seems to have insulated itself from time, in that every main character has a kid, and all the kids are roughly the same age. So they could just reboot this whole series with Dom's son and Brian's son and a bunch of other characters. So, you know, this could go on forever.
Good. And, you know, this June, it does mark the 20th anniversary of the Fast and the Furious. So, you know, you never know what they'll restart within the next 10 years. So I'm going to go ahead and give my rating on this film. As nutty and witty and outlandish as this film is, and you know, what can I say about the acting? It's just what it is. Oh, before I get to my rating, what do you think about that scene, man, where he saves everybody in that missile silo, or that, not, you know, the little bunkers place. He pushes everybody in. And he's like, go, and he whoops like 27 dudes' asses, and he brings down the whole place with his bare arms, with chains.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah. I just saw it. I thought they were gonna kill Dom. I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill Dom? I doubt it. But that's kind of like how the scene was phrased. Like, I feel like there was like some like that music that sounds like someone's gonna die.
Exactly. He's just bringing down, and he break that dude's back over the railing. He's like, "Argh!" And he's sinking in the water.
I thought they were gonna be bold and kill Dom, but they didn't. And like, I thought they're gonna be bold again and kill Ludacris and what's his name, Tyrese. They didn't. Everyone survived. So, you know, that scene was fine. I didn't really think too much about it.
Okay. Well,
I am glad they brought back Han though, because I did like that character.
Yeah, and he has a daughter in this, basically, because
as an adopted daughter, I
daughter,
guess.
Yeah.
And see, she's only just a little bit older than Dom's son and Brian's son, so.
In a way, yeah, she's like mid-teens, late teens. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if they want to fast forward 10 years into the future, it would make sense that she would be interacting with them. So, you know, whatever. One thing, Mia has a daughter. She had a daughter at the end of Fate of the Furious, and we never see that kid. We only see the son. So I'm like, where's the daughter? but whatever.
Maybe the same reason why she didn't get no chain.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I'm going to rate this film as an entry into this franchise. I'm gonna rate it as 7.5.
Dang, that's the exact thing I was gonna give it. I thought I was being bold with that, but all right, yeah, I'm just giving it a 7.5 too. I liked it. I thought it was a fine entry into the Fast and Furious franchise. So, and again, I don't mind the wackiness. I kind of dig the wackiness. You know, so I got no problems with that. Also, I think it's interesting how many Oscar winners they just have in the cast now. With Charlize Theron, she's an Oscar winner, and who's Shaw's the Shaw mother? Gosh, I can't remember her name. Yeah, Mirren.
Mirren, yes.
Yeah, also an Oscar winner. Was funny. So, yeah, she was funny. Mm-hmm. So you know, the cast is pretty good. Surprised The Rock didn't show up, but I guess he retired at the end of the last one. But they've all retired at some point. So
he'll be back. He'll be back. I mean, surprised. I'm telling you, right after The Rock finished filming Black Adam, they're gonna throw a script in. You know, Vin Diesel's gonna be like, "Hey, you know what time it is, family."
Right.
Throw the papers in his face, and it's gonna, and then he's gonna be like, "Yeah, money."
I thought John Cena is a better actor than The Rock too.
Ooh, stirring up the pot, man. Stirring up the pot.
I don't think. See, that's because people just like The Rock. They're not looking at the acting. Like he always has this like, you stay away from your candy ass needs to stay away from these people. It always sounds like The Rock, you know? He doesn't really sound like he's acting. John Cena sounds like he's acting. So I'm like, all right, you know.
Okay.
He's not like putting on he's not putting on a face, you know. He's not doing the eyebrow thing or anything like that. But whatever.
Oh man. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is our review for F9. I gave it a 7.5. Devin gave it 7.5. So, you know, it's in theaters right now. Go check it out and have a good time. Disbelief, all that. Do what you've been doing for the past 7 years. Okay.
Yeah. Again, I will say easy recommendation for this film if you've seen the others. If you haven't seen the other Fast and Furious films, don't bother with this one. But if you've seen the others and you're invested, you'll probably like this.
Absolutely. That is our review for F9. All right, everyone, that is our show. Thank you for clicking on the video. Again, my name is Tyrone. You can find me on my band's Instagram. That is YURP_ATL, YURP_ATL. And I've been playing video games. That's what I do. I've been playing video games. Okay. At my Twitch, twitch.tv/EuropeNationGaming. Please go there and follow me. And of course, I've been doing my reaction channel, Europe Nation Reactions. Everything's over there for my reactions. And you can find me here on Mostly Wrong Opinions. And
I am Devin. I have a personal Instagram at DevinHarris29. I have not been playing video games because there's nothing to play. I don't know why you're torturing yourself with these subpar games, but you know what? You probably paid for this super expensive console, so you gotta play these garbage games. So there you go. That's right. The best game for PlayStation right now is Ratchet and Clank.
That's it.
Things are rough. Things are tough. But me and Tyrone have a TikTok at Most Wrong Opinions, and of course you can find me right here on YouTube at Most Wrong Opinions.
Please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with everything we do right here on Mostly Wrong Opinions. And of course, if you liked what we said here about these movies, please leave us a like, or you can leave us a dislike. Whatever it is your opinion. But just remember, it's mostly wrong. All right? Have a good one. See you in the next video.